Rosalind's right in South Carolina.
Awesome.
My name is Tammy Prince. I'm coming from.
Hi, I'm from New York.
Robert Gray from Lancaster, Texas.
Awesome. Who else do we have? Okay. Well,
Louis from Nigeria.
all right. Well, we're going to do some housekeeping and go ahead and mute off these video conference off. We'll kick it off with a good start today. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. As I often like to share with you, this is an interactive call, so please feel free. You can engage in the chat box. Please feel free to do so. We're going to be talking tonight about the 90-day game plan, and I really want to share with you guys that while this sounds like a really cool phrase, it sounds like a pretty cool catchphrase, it's something that's pretty standard. I think we have, okay, someone. Awesome. It's while it sounds like a pretty cool catchphrase, it's something pretty standard, okay? And it should be executed on each and every point in your business life, in your business, and it's a standard thing, okay? It's pretty standard. 90-day game plan, okay? It's a way of life in the world of business. It's a way of life in the world of network marketing, relationship marketing, multi-level marketing, call it whatever it is you like. I call it the greatest industry in the world. And the reason I do is because what we've been able to see over the last 35 years is an absolute incredible amount of consistent life changes for people of all different types of backgrounds, every different type of socioeconomic. I mean, yeah, backgrounds, people that were poor, people that were broke, people that were educated, people that were already rich, have been able to use a basic formula involved in this world of network marketing so that they can find a success. Now, guys, I got to tell you something. And I'm not sure how many of you are going to enjoy hearing some of what I'm going to share with you today, only because reality is reality. Many of us inadvertently, that means unintentionally, that means we didn't set out to make the mistakes that we make, but yet we create our own challenges. We create our own limitations. A few weeks back, I shared on a call, I hope it was this group, and if it's not, well, please just jot it down. What I said was that the manifestation of current results, okay, manifestation of current results will cause limitations. And those limitations, those limitations are whether the results were good or bad, okay? So the manifestation, that means it's by virtue of your results occurring, okay, whatever they may be, good or bad, they cause limitations. So that means that as things happen, one must have to continue to move forward in the same path, in the same process, in the same manner in which they started, or else something is going to change, okay? Now, what does it mean? That means that limitations occur. Let me be very, very clear and very, very transparent. That means if you have success in your business, oftentimes the person who has some success in network marketing, they've hit a pin level, they've hit a rank, they've hit a goal, they've hit a monetary threshold, they get excited. Now, I don't know about you guys, but tonight's call may not be a topic that excites you, but I want you to do just like you heard last week, Mr. Gordon Stenhigh say that you have to develop the skill of staying excited. Okay, that means no matter what's going on in your life right now, that means no matter what's going on, what is happening, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what background noise may be happening right now over your shoulder, you got to find a way to stay excited. But that being the case, when you get excited because you've achieved a goal, the normal human tendency is to celebrate. Am I right? Come on, somebody just let me know I'm right. Because see, it's just natural. What we fail to realize is that after we've gotten excited, that we tend to change our behavior, okay? We tend to alter our behavior. We tend to stay somewhat in celebration mode. You know, I've actually seen people hit a level, hit a threshold, and all of a sudden, you know, everything changes. They hit that goal, and let's, for all intents and purposes, use the level of sapphire. And I love sapphire because sapphire is a critical level of achievement. It's the believer's level. It always has been. The first level of achievement is really, I think, the most important, because you have to be able to develop the process and the excitement and the activity to hit the first level. But once you've hit that level, that's when the work begins. But oftentimes, human tendency is, wow, I got to celebrate. Man, look at me. I'm now a sapphire. And it doesn't matter if you did it in 90 days, did it in a year, did it in a month, did it in a day or a week. It doesn't really matter, but it's the natural tendency. But what has to be the case is when you realize that the manifestation of your current results will cause limitations. The result of having hit the sapphire now can create the condition that allows you to slow down, stop, celebrate, and now, and I don't even want to say this, but I have to, maybe even cause you to become a manager. Wow, not just managing your own time. Ooh, that would be interesting. But now starting to try to manage other people. You get out of zone one activity. You get out of the basics of prospecting and presenting and promoting. You get out of that and you get into managing. You see, so that's what happens very often when you hit a threshold and get excited because you celebrated and there you are. But the other side of the equation is the manifestation of current results. Maybe you have not had success. Maybe you have not had the kind of results that you're seeing someone else or reading about in the chat group or hearing about on conference calls or seeing on Facebook. Somebody just had a max out week, or someone's event turned out to be bigger than your event, and someone's event in another part of the world turned out to be bigger than your event that you were planning so diligently. And the manifestation of those current results cause limitations as well. And as we were picking up in our book club just a couple of, for me it's 2 days ago, but just on Saturday morning, where in the book, the MLM Blueprint, the blueprint of what's in your mind, the result of whatever those conditions were, start to continue to perpetuate. What am I really saying to you is that you've seen a bunch of circumstances where maybe you did not have the success that you wanted, and maybe you've seen some other people who did not have the success that you wanted, and that blueprint somewhat perpetuates itself. Now, guys, I'm not expecting to get a whole bunch of, comments, or yeah, that's right, or hey, Mr. Hartley, that's so true. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not expecting that tonight, because we're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it so absolutely real that you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel uncomfortable sitting where you're sitting, and you're going to have to make a decision that you want to get up and get out and get, into a whole new place, because where you're sitting is a byproduct of that blueprint that you've had for so long. So where does the 90-day game plan come in? Very simply. You have got to do, like you heard me train on one of the previous calls, the 6 steps for achieving goals. Now, I know there's a young lady here on the line, and she's been so good. I haven't heard from her tonight. She's usually Johnny on the spot. Let me just even check the scroll to see if she's on the call. I don't know. Maybe she is. Maybe she isn't. But usually she's responding very quickly about some of the things that I'm talking about or about to talk about. But those 6 steps for achieving goals. Yes, you've got to put a goal in place. You've got to set a goal. You got to set a goal, guys. You got to have a goal. You got to have a goal. I was reading just a couple of days ago, and some of you know my mentor, some of you don't, but I happened to scroll across his page, and he was wearing his favorite football jersey, a team that I happen to not particularly care for, but that was the dynamics of what made our relationship fun. But he was wearing his jersey, and he was talking about that his network marketing career was very similar to a football team and the football season, that every single season when they start out, and you guys remember Super Bowl, right? Was that a great call? We had a great call that day. But Super Bowl Sunday, we talked about the fact that 32 teams start out the season, but only one will become the Super Bowl champion. Only one. That means week after week after week after week after week after week after week, they're going for that same goal. Now, here's the thing. You got to set a goal. And what my mentor said in his post was that just like his network marketing career and the football season, they both start out every single time. Now, in Super Bowl, they start out every season. Interestingly enough, you can approach your network marketing career as you start out every quarter, and then break it down that you're working your process week by week. You can approach it however you choose. It's your choice. But they start out every single season, or in your case, you start out every single quarter or every 90-day segment or every week expecting to win the Super Bowl. So guess what? There's your goal. I mean, who starts out expecting to fail? I don't think anybody would admit it. Nobody would raise their hand and say, yeah, well, maybe Eeyore. No, we're not going to go back to Eeyore. I got to make sure keep Jackie John in his seat. But maybe there would be one person that didn't set out to win the championship or to win the highest goal. But for the most part, everybody is starting out with the same goal in mind, and that is to win the championship, win the Super Bowl, be the top player, the top contender. But now what you've got to do is you've got to have a goal, okay? And just like the Super Bowl, there was a date before the season started when the Super Bowl was going to be played. So you've got to have a date of completion, okay? You have got to list your obstacles. You got to list your obstacles. You got to list your obstacles, because guess what, guys? Look, I'm gonna do the gallery. I always like to do the gallery. Yeah, here we go. We got some good-looking folks up here. Some of you are hiding your faces, but I see most of you. But I want you to know that you have got to list your obstacles, because I want you to look me straight in the eye, and I challenge you today to tell me that you don't have some obstacles that are weighing on you right now. That while you're hearing my voice, there are some nagging issues that are on your shoulders right now. I don't know what it may be. It may be your job. It may be your household. It may be your finances. It may be your children. It may be anything. It may be your neighbor. It may be mama and daddy. It may be, but there's a list of challenges and obstacles, and without addressing and without knowing those, you fall into the category of being distracted by them. Ladies and gentlemen, until you can identify them, they will always come up. Myself, I list my obstacles all the time. And sometimes my obstacles, my distractions are people that are closest to me, and they don't even realize it. Guys, now, you may want to shake your head on that one. You may want to put your thumbs up on that. You may want to put it in the chat box. You may want to say amen, ouch, or whatever you feel like saying. But very often, the distraction and the obstacle may be someone who is very close to you that doesn't even realize that they are being the distraction and the obstacle, given what your current events, current circumstances, current situation, as well as what must be done, the continuation. Remember, we only have gotten up to number 3. We've set a goal, we've put a date on it, meaning we have a definite time frame, just like in Think and Grow Rich, the definiteness of purpose has already been established, okay? So you've got a goal, you've got a time frame, and now here you go, you got obstacles. No. And I thank you so much for the inbox. There's a difference in pondering over your obstacles and being aware of it. You see, while you must list your obstacles, you list them not to sulk in them. You list them not to grieve over them. You list them so that you can know where they are to circumvent them, to avoid them. Let me tell you something. I know my obstacles each and every day. And the goal is, once you know what they are, because guess what? Whether you be, Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true. Whether you're true to yourself and you tell yourself or admit to yourself that these are your obstacles, they're still there. So what I'm trying to say to you, and it's a great, great comment, and it's a great, great question, but whether you admit it or not, them obstacles are still there, and most part, they are grabbing you by your ankles and holding you down. It becomes a development of skill, a development of internal technique on how to not dwell and how to know that they're there and to know that you move beyond them. I got to tell you something, and this kind of, I hope somebody makes sure it keeps me back on track, because this takes me to a session I was sitting in. It was a meeting after the meeting about 6 years ago, and a group of top leaders was sitting with our mentor, and it was after a big event we had, and he talked about the fact that there's nothing that will be allowed into his environment that will distract him from his goals. And I remember clearly, not only do I remember the question that was asked, but I remember the person who asked the question. And this person asked the question, so are you saying that even if it was a matter of life or death with your child, your only child, that you would not be distracted? And he clearly, and at that time, he had not become the number one income earner in the world. Not yet. Not at that time yet. It happened afterwards. But he clearly looked at everybody and he said, no, I would not let even the injury, the hurt, the severe illness of my child become a distraction. Because allowing it to become a distraction will not make the circumstances any better. Now, guys, you got to check that one, because at that table, it got pretty awkward. It got pretty awkward, because here was this woman who turned to this man and said, she had to go there about his child, and said, so you're telling me even if it was your child, you wouldn't be distracted? He said, no, because his definiteness of purpose was so laser focused that he could not let a distraction that he could not control take him off his path. And that one's deep, guys. So yes, right there in the middle of those 6 steps for achieving goals are your distractions, are your obstacles. And you best to know them, because if you don't, like I said, they're going to come up and grab you by the ankles. They're going to grab you and they're going to hold you. But the next one is to have strategy, okay? Actually, you should have the strategy first. I should have put third, the strategy, and then the obstacles. So your first would be your goal. The second would be your time. Third would be your strategy. And by the way, you probably want to seek counsel on the strategy, because you might have read it in a book, but your skill development might not have yet been in the time frame to be able to execute that strategy. Okay, you may not yet have the skill, but here's where the good news is. You might not yet have the skill to execute that strategy. And then here comes the obstacles. But the fifth will be who you engage. You must engage other people. And what I'm excited about is because in network marketing, in MLM, in the world of direct sales, multi-level marketing, this great industry, you don't have to do it by yourself. See, if you're in a sales position, if you're in a sales job, if you're in a sales profession, you are based and judged based on the sales of your own. Basically, you're on your own merit. But this is so great because in network marketing, you get to leverage. That means you are allowed to engage and employ other people to be successful with you. So what it means is that no one person, and this is probably a good time, I always like to show the gallery, but this is a good time to show the gallery so that I can look at each one of you and let you know that I don't care what your credentials are. I don't care how good you think you are. I don't care what they've been telling you about yourself all your life. You cannot do it all by yourself. Neither can I. See, I don't have that misconception that this is all about me and that I can do this all by myself, but it does start with me. It starts with me. I have to be the beacon, the light, the guide. I must be that person. Let me see what the second page looks like. Okay, but it's imperative that we continue to focus on what is the goal, have the time frame, have the strategy, identify the obstacles so that we can circumvent, short circuit, diffuse them, or totally eliminate them, okay? And then, of course, who we're going to engage. The chances are that you will probably need to engage people that are, in many cases, better at certain things than you are. What that means, it means that your shortcomings, and I hate to call them weaknesses in the world of corporate finance and corporate development, you know, we did something called a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And let me just say quickly, very quickly, that even major corporations miss the mark. And let me use one, for example. I couldn't help it, but I was on a flight a couple days ago, and I happened to notice someone with a backpack, and it had the name of a company that we don't even talk about anymore. The name of that company is Nokia. Nokia failed to represent or recognize their weaknesses and their threats. So just like the obstacles we were talking about, remember, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Nokia failed to recognize their weaknesses. They failed to recognize their threats. And today, they're gone. Their CEO, in his parting statement, said that we did not do anything wrong, but yet we're still no longer a contender in the world of cellular device services. Nokia. How many of y'all remember Nokia? Some of y'all remember Nokia? Some of y'all still have a Nokia phone laying around there somewhere? Somewhere you threw them all out? You gave them all back, the Nokia phones? Yeah. See, the challenges, and I say it in the world of network marketing, we do not necessarily want to call them weaknesses. They may be what they are, but I like to refer to them as challenges, okay, or opportunity areas, because we all have them. And how I like to teach people how to develop themselves, especially when it's skill development or personal development, from a counseling, from a perspective of personal or professional development, is we really highlight and focus on your strengths. We really, we find out what you're best at, and we put you to work at that, let you just go do what you're going to do. Go do it, doing it good, just keep on doing it. Your opportunity areas, your challenges, we work on those privately, quietly, in the wee hours, and we look for people, okay? We look for people that can absolutely complement those challenge areas, okay? So a person, imagine this, a group, or two people, let's say it's a small group of two, working together, and both of them are quiet and shy. How far you think that's gonna go? But that quiet, shy person who may be technically and or technologically advanced might be able to help the person who may be more vocal and less technologically advanced. You see, coming together, that means that your strengths and my strengths come together to make a greater bond, okay? That's what relationships are really all about. It's not uncommon that a powerful team will be made up. Not everybody will be the exact same, but when you look at the most powerful teams, you'll realize that it's made up of a group of different skill sets. If you look at the championship team of Michael Jordan, there was no second Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen was not a second Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen by himself did not do what Michael Jordan could. And Michael Jordan didn't do what he did without Scottie Pippen. You see, together, they were together. Okay, they had a strength. And let's not overshadow or overlook the crazy man himself, Dennis Rodman. All right, I see some people laughing. Some people know about Dennis Rodman, the crazy man himself, okay? Yeah, if he wasn't in the paint crashing the boards and getting raw and down dirty and crazy, being able to grab the rebounds and turn the outlet pass over to Michael Jordan might not have been able to have as many of those same type of situations, but yet that teamwork, ladies and gentlemen. So we're up to the fifth. And then last but not least, guys, you gotta have what's in it for you. You gotta know what's in it for you. What's your game plan? And earlier, about 7 minutes ago, someone posted in the group, in the chat, that you gotta have a strong burning desire. And yes, while you have a strong burning desire, you better have something that you want. Ah, man, you better have something that you want. Gotta want it. You gotta want something, because if I remember meeting some people, very sharp professionals came into a business presentation many years ago, and I remember speaking with them because I couldn't help but notice them. They were super sharp couples sitting right there, about 3 rows from the back, and at the very end they came up, and I asked what were their goals, what were their desires, what they really wanted to have happen. And the husband abruptly and quickly jumped in and told me that they had spent very successful careers in corporate America, and their 401ks had, while they performed well, they needed some supplemental income. They needed a little something extra. Come on, let me look at the gallery one more time. You know, I need to see y'all. Some of y'all just be hiding your face. There's my boy from North Carolina. They needed some supplementary income. They needed to supplement their situation. They needed some little extra cash flow. Their portfolio was great. Their portfolio was really something to be admired, but it just wasn't enough to allow them to continue the lifestyle that they had grown. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay. If you're looking at the gallery, look at the box next to you and ask that person, hey, you know what he's talking about? Because, you see, we all know somebody who's come to us and said, yeah, I just need some supplemental income, some little extra income to help, make things, be like I want them to be while I was working, or whatever the case may be. And I knew immediately that couple, no matter what level they got started at, no matter what package they bought, I knew immediately that they would not have any success. Yes, that's right. Look at me. Look me in the face, please. Somebody look me in the eye. Hi there. I see you looking at me. Mm-hmm. How in the world did I know from those statements that they would have zero success? Because there was no goal in the burning desire. You're right about the burning desire. You're right. But they had nothing that they wanted so badly. What's in it for me? They didn't have that little extra income. You know what it really meant? That little extra income that they were looking for, that meant the difference of her going shopping the way she wanted to. And that meant the difference of them traveling on their multiple vacations per year, whether they traveled 3 out of 4 in first class or 4 out of 4 in first class. That might be all it represented. And that's not enough to make you get up and do what you got to do, to make you get up and overcome those obstacles, to make you get up and do what the work, have to show the plan, have to engage with difficult and sometimes challenging situations and challenging people. Uh-oh, did that slip out? Did I just say that? Back to the gallery. Did that just slip out where I said difficult situations and difficult? Somebody say it for me. Somebody say it. I'm trying to read your lips. Difficult people. There it is. Thank you, David. Because guess what? Everybody that you encounter in this industry ain't gonna be so easy to deal with. You know what I'm talking about? Not everybody. It's you know, in the book, and Maria Moore, I got to go back and think maybe it was page 35 or 36. I think we stopped on page 37, but it may have been page 35 in the book MLM Blueprint. It may have been page 35, where the author, who had already had success blueprints printed in enveloped in his mind, had already talked about that he had been able to shadow some of the best and the brightest of people in the industry of network marketing. He had the opportunity to shadow them on a day-to-day basis. He had the ability to walk and talk and eat and breathe with them and see the good and see the bad. He wrote it in his book. And again, I think it was page 35, that he got to see the bad points. Guys, look at me when I tell you that everything that is required that you must do in this industry is not peaches and cream. There's going to be some tough people, tough situations, tough days. But what he said after he enumerated those type of indications was that the good that he observed far outweighed the bad. I know some of y'all went to church this morning and probably heard that from the preacher this morning, that there's going to be some good days. Maybe you heard the choir sing that song. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days. But when I look around and I think things over, all of my good days. Oh, I don't know if I got somebody who went to church this morning. Did I see anybody went to the house of the Lord today? Did anybody? Oh, I see somebody went to the house of the Lord. But it was all of my good days outweigh my bad days. Like I told a good friend recently, that you got to have more wins in your column than losses, because you're gonna have some losses. You're gonna have some bad. People think, oh, people don't tell me no. Man, I hear more people telling me no to my opportunity than I hear people telling me yes. But it was so nice that even yesterday, what's in it for me? I got my goals. I got what I want. I got that clearly enumerated. Do you? But you see, if I dwell on the obstacles, if I dwell on the bad days, then I will never stick around to see it all come to fruition. But yesterday I got a real cool text message where, by virtue of a friend who's in business, man, I wish I could read it. But a friend of mine who's in business was talking about how by virtue of a financing package, they were being asked as a business in the United States to receive their financing by Bitcoin. That means that when they are approved for their financing to finance their inventory for the growth of their business, that the financing company would issue the financing via Bitcoin. And my friend, who has observed and watched and probably even commented, maybe negatively, maybe positively, but never really engaged, we had a extensive discussion. You know, when a friend of mine, Tom, says that communication will precipitate and create conversation. That means that when you have good information and you communicate it, that very often it will cause and create conversation. Because at some point in time, as we said it before, the world of digital currency will become the standard and the norm. But here it was that this person, when they started communicating with me by text, was fearful and concerned about their ability to deal with this financing package by way of Bitcoin. By the time we were done, they not only was asking about what else they should be doing with the financing of the Bitcoin, but what other coins and what other programs and what other opportunities they could be exploring inside the world of cryptocurrency. Now, I want you to catch that. Did you notice how it started with one thing? They had their own agenda. That person had their what's in it for me first. That person started with their what's in it for me and then began to inquire, but knew the source by which to go to, and it translated into a conversation that ultimately has transformed someone from a doubter to potentially a believer in the world of digital currency. How's that? Does that make sense? But you got to stick around. So your what's in it for me has got to be strong. You got to be able to have something that will be, so much of a burning desire that it's got to be your why. It's got to be strong enough to make you cry, because if it's just like what that gentleman talked about, it ain't gonna do it for you. So if you understand that these attributes that I've been talking about this session really all come down to, what do you have to do? You got to be prepared, ladies and gentlemen, to look at something very critical right now. Okay, look at me and then look down at your page, because you probably should have. I know I got mine sitting right there on the table, right there. My prospect list, or as I like to call it, my funnel, my pipeline, constantly filling up my funnel, constantly putting people into the pipeline. Are you doing it? Are you constantly putting new people into the prospecting process, the process of qualifying? Or are we simply trying to convince the same people to do what they haven't been willing to or capable of doing from the beginning? You see, because if you're not putting new people in, if you're not engaging new people, you're going to have a challenge. How about somebody write this down for me, put it in the chat group so that everyone can see it, okay? And it's a very simple phrase that I've been sticking by for a very long time. There is no problem that a new recruit can't solve. Now write that one down. Write that one down. Somebody type it in the chat group for me. There's no, there it is. Thank you, Esther. So glad to see you here. Always appreciate you. There is no problem that a new recruit can't solve. So when you start looking at your problems and your situations, go ahead and get a new recruit, because that new recruit might be the entree, the opening, the access point to a whole new set of opportunities for you. Okay, that access point. So you've got to be filling your pipeline consistently. So what are you doing over your 90-day game plan? Well, you better know your goals. You better be able to measure them and to be able to work with them in that 90-day segment. And it's not just one time and then it's over. It's every 90 days. That means when March 31st, if you started on January 1st with your 90-day segment, then by March 31st, guess what you're doing? Starting all over. 90 days. You're going to measure. You're going to assess. You're going to seek counsel. You're going to make adjustments. And then you're going to start all over. Did everyone catch that? And don't hesitate. I know you're taking notes, but don't hesitate if someone wants to share it in the group. You're going to assess it. You're going to measure it. Okay? And you're going to seek counsel. And then you're going to make the necessary adjustments. Because no matter how good It was, no matter how good that 90-day segment was that you just came out of. As I told my friend last night when we concluded our discussion, our cryptocurrency discussion, there's always another level of knowledge and education. There's always another level. So that means that when some of you hit your goal and get to that next level, whether it's an income goal or a title position goal, pin level goal, it doesn't really matter. But once you hit it, you've got to go back and now assess it. You have now got to go get new counsel, and then you have to go forth and make the adjustments. Because let me tell you something, don't think Tom Brady didn't make some adjustments in the halftime, okay? He played two very distinctly different halves in that Super Bowl. Yes or yes? Come on, y'all were with me. Y'all were with me. Y'all saw it play two distinct different halves, and that's why I talked about what was in his mindset. Remember, the topic of that call was, your emotions. Don't let that get in your head. Don't let it hold you down. Don't let it. Okay. So he had to have a whole new adjustment for the second half because he had a strategy. He had everything in place, but it had to change. So you have to be doing certain things, and you're going to do things right, and not everything is going to be right. You're going to have some wins and losses. You're going to have some areas. Guys, guess what? Can I just tell you something? Let me let you off the hook. Can I let you off the hook with something? There are going to be some prospects that you will never be able to capture. That make you feel better? That make you feel better? There's going to be some prospects, no matter how good your presentation was, no matter how good the opportunity was, no matter what was said, you're not going to get them. It's just the reality of it, okay? It's just not going to happen. Then there's going to be those that they want to come in and they want to work with you, but you're going to mess it up. And accept that. You ought to accept that you botched it up. You messed it up. You threw the interception. You fumbled the ball. You messed up the pass, the handoff. You messed it up. And it's okay. It is A-okay, because with each level you get better. That's why the assessment. That's why you go through the assessment, you seek counsel, and then you make the adjustments. But you need to be making sure that you're filling up that pipeline, putting 2 to 5 prospects in each and every day. Every single day, adding new. Why? Because guess what? Some of the 2 to 5 people that you're adding, those new people that you're adding as prospects, some of them will, some of them won't. So what? So move on. Next. Remember that? Some will, some won't. So what? Next. Some will, some won't. So what next? Back to the earlier question, when someone says pondering on the obstacles. Some people keep pondering on, oh, that prospect, he would have been so good in my business, and if I had just been able to get him, man, I'd be blue diving already. If I could have just gotten that one guy. Ain't gonna happen. You gotta accept that and on to the next one. Because while you're sitting there pondering about that fish that got away, okay, you're forgetting that there's a pool of other fish right there. You wanted that one. There's another one. And what I like, and I always like to allude to it, haven't done a call on this particular topic yet, but the 4 stages of relationships. There are going to be some people that you immediately connect with, and man, the process of getting down to doing business. 4 stages. The first is you have a common connection. 4 stages. There's some videos on YouTube you can check out that give you the overview of this particular training. But the first stage is the common connection. Common connection. The first thing I do when I meet somebody is I'm looking for a common connection. And then the second thing I'm looking for is that mutual respect, okay? I'm looking for them to respect me. I'm looking for me to respect them. We have a commonality, not just in the connection, but in that mutual respect. That's the second stage. After we've accomplished that, we go on to the next stage, which is the appreciation. Their appreciation for what I do, and their appreciation and seeing themselves do what I do. Okay, now that was the case last night. My friend wrote a very nice closing statement to me about where we were, 10, 12 years ago, and how just her observation of what's going on in my life now is an inspiration to her. But that had not changed throughout the whole period of our relationship. What had not happened up until that very moment was her appreciation for what I was doing was cool, because she would comment on Facebook. She would always click on Facebook, click like. But all of a sudden, in an instant, something happened in her life. And now she could have an appreciation for what I do, and then see herself having an appreciation for, seeing herself in the same light as me. What does that lead to? The fourth stage, us being able to do business together. Does everyone get it? Does everyone get that? Let me make sure. Let's go to the gallery here. Every so often, I like to go to the gallery. Does everyone get that? First is the common connection. Then is the mutual respect. Then is the appreciation. First, and the appreciation is two categories. It's a subset. That means they have to appreciate me and what I do. And next, they have to see themselves in that same area before we can move to the fourth, which is us doing business together. Ladies and gentlemen, you short circuit that. Go ahead and short circuit that. Go ahead. Short circuit that and see what happens. And watch, this is the age-old mistake. And I never, let me, look at me. Never bypass this, ever. I might as well blow my brains out if I'm gonna do this, because I know what's gonna happen. I already know the result. If for one reason you go to stage one, then to stage two, and for some reason between stage two and stage three, it short circuits, I never go back and start working from stage three again. You must always go back to stage one. What I'm saying is, you can't pick up where you left off, because it just doesn't work that way. You must go back to the connection. Why are we here? Why are we in this particular setting? You see, why are we where we are? Then let's go back to the mutual respect. Then we can move back to the appreciation. And this is where my next point. Okay, I didn't want to dwell. Thank you, Esther, for dropping that YouTube video in there. You go ahead and check out that. Maybe you'll pick up, maybe you'll glean some tidbits from it. But when you understand that through your 90-day segment, there'll be some people that are brand new that you're meeting that will immediately move through those stages quickly. You may be able to move through the 4 stages in a day with some people. And in some cases, you may go through those 4 stages in a month. Does everyone get that? Does everyone see that? You may go through some people the 4 stages in a day. Some people, it may be a month. Some people, it may be 90 days or 3 months or a quarter. Some people, it may take a year. Some people, it may take years. So when you have your funnel, when you have your pipeline full, you will have people at all different stages of the relationships. Yes or yes? Back to the gallery. Yes or yes? Everybody ain't gonna be at that place where you can collect a decision. You gotta be moving people through those stages. And don't try to take someone who's at stage 1 and drag them to stage 4. Ain't gonna work. Yes, I'm talking to you. Ain't gonna work. You can't take them from stage 1, drag them to stage 4, and say, oh, well, they're interested. No, it doesn't work that way. You must go through the stages. But you take the people who are at stage 3 and you move them to stage 4. The people who are at stage 1, maybe someone gets excited after sitting at stage 1 or stage 2 for a year or for 6 months or for 6 weeks. And then all of a sudden you can move them through stage 3 and stage 4 in a day. Yes, but you still got to move them. You can't just skip over. It don't work that way, guys. It don't work that way. Relationships. But here's the thing. The best thing you can be doing with your relationships and these prospects that you're adding into your pipeline, into your funnel. Remember, we're talking about the 90-day game plan. Listen, if your 90-day game plan doesn't have new prospects, it ain't a game plan. Hello? Should I unmute the line so y'all can say hello back? Hello? Okay? If your 90-day game plan does not contain new prospects, look at your list. I asked you to go get your list and look at it. Look down at your list. And if your 90-day game plan does not contain new prospects, guys, you're missing it. okay, it won't get you where you want to go. All right? You've got to have new people, and you've got to become skillful at moving the different people through the prospect process. And what that means is that you have to be qualifying. Can someone type that in for me in capital letters? Those of you who like to type in caps, go ahead and type in caps. Qualifying. Qualifying. No. Don't write me privately. Don't write me private. Oh, there it is. Got it. Thank you. Whoa, there you go. Thank you. Okay, you got to be qualifying. You see, it's a qualification process. How do you qualify? Guys, how do you qualify? And I know this sounds like some of the basics, but this is an area that people really need to become super improved and in their performance at. You have got to be qualifying all the time, qualifying people. And how do you qualify people? You ask a question. If you're engaging with someone and just because they say something to you that makes you feel excited, it may make you feel warm and fuzzy. It may make you feel like, you know, the process is moving forward. It's good, but that's an assumption. It's an assumption. You cannot get to a final destination based on assumptions. You cannot. You must qualify it. And there are qualifying questions. I'm sure one of these days somebody's going to do a training somewhere and, you know, really get into the details of teaching how to ask qualifying questions. I know there's a video out there. I may do one. There may be one. I don't know if it requires a full hour of training, but qualifying questions. Okay? And it doesn't have to be so blunt where you ask person, you ready to get started? That it is a qualifying question. It doesn't have to be so blunt. What level you want to get? I mean, it's a good question, but you can ask another question. So if we were able to answer all your questions on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you right now in terms of getting started? We get all your questions answered. Where are you? How do you feel about what you've heard thus far? Which part of what you heard tonight, or what part of our discussion thus far, did you like the most? Because now you're qualifying them. Because you might find yourself talking about the wrong thing for too long. Exactly what are you talking about? I don't approach anybody. I don't get into a conversation until, I have a meeting in 40 minutes, okay? Remember, it's morning time here. So I have a meeting at 10:30 a.m. And when I walk into this meeting, trust me, we gonna know why we sitting down. I don't have an hour to an hour and a half just to be sitting there, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Can I just be transparent with you? How many of y'all got that? Let's go back to the gallery. We're wrapping up the call right now, but let's go back to the gallery. Show of hands. How many of y'all got that kind of time where you can sit there and go blah, blah, blah with somebody for one period of time and you don't even know where y'all going? You have no clue where the conversation's going. Let me tell you something. If you don't know where the conversation is going, where you don't control where the conversation is going, that conversation is likely to go anywhere but where you want it. That conversation is likely to go anywhere but where you want it. So the first thing I must do, I don't know, let me see. There's a young man. I want to see if he's on the call today. I don't see him here. But I remember when I went to his market and he had a small group of people gathered, and I was there to really show the business from a broad perspective. I knew I was going to be talking for hours. I knew that. But within the first 15 minutes, I qualified every single person sitting at that, in that room, and they didn't even realize I was qualifying them. Guys, see, here's the thing. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't know where to go and where to touch on and what to do first. You see, I wouldn't know how to sequentially get them through the stage. Because remember, though I'm the featured speaker, there's still a sequence of events. There's still a relationship building that must take place, okay? There's still a bonding effect. There's still a developmental relationship. I need to qualify who they are, what they want, where they're going. I need to know who's who. I need to know who's in the room. I might have entered the wrong room. I may have entered the wrong room. I may have gone into the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and I'm starting to stand there and present the wrong thing to the wrong people. And they're probably, if I don't know I'm in the wrong room because I didn't qualify who I'm talking to, I could be in the wrong room talking to the wrong people. And that's the blah, blah, blah I'm talking about. So you've got to qualify. The interesting thing about qualifying prospects, it will allow you to have more effective results in your 90-day plan. That make sense? So if you want to walk away from today's session with some real critical and key points for your 90-day segment, your 90-day game plan, walk away with two very, very simple things. Two very simple things, okay? You better put new people in the business, in the pipeline, because that will lead to new people in your business, okay? Without new people in your pipeline, without new prospects coming into your scope and those people in your group, if you and your team, you and your group, you and your partners are not adding new prospects and then qualifying them, meaning moving them forward, you won't get to the results you want to get to. Does that make sense to you guys? Does that make sense? You've got to be prepared to qualify people. Don't be afraid to ask a question. There's only two things that you can get, a yes or a no. You can get a good or a bad, and either way, I want to know. I want to know where you stand. I want to know where you are in this. I don't want to, sit here with you for an hour for a feel good to then get up to go walk away to then tell someone else, that I just had a 1 hour feel good session with a person, but I don't know what, where, and what we're doing. I don't know where they are, where they stand, or where we're going. I don't want to do that. Qualifying. You see, that's business at its highest level. Some people may know if you do a Google search of a consultative sale, consultative selling, you'll understand that it's important. A salesperson typically doesn't ask. They just keep talking until they get a yes. Talking until they get a yes. Here's the interesting thing. In network marketing, you could be that salesperson, and what you'll end up with is a quick commission and a sale. But very, very rarely will you end up getting a person that says yes to end up being a builder, because they are just saying yes because you wore them down. They figured if they finally say yes to you, you will shut up. You will shut up. But if you begin to qualify people, if you begin asking questions, going through a consultative, it was said that if you help people get what they want, you will get what you want. Help people get what they want, and you will get what you want. The only way you can help them get what they want is to ask them questions. But trust me, I'm not jumping in. I mean, if it's my session, before I walk in, I've already qualified. When I walk in, I'm qualifying again because I have to know what my next steps are. So if I'm doing it because I know as a professional it requires it, then I'm going to encourage you to do it. And then when you engage, especially for those of you that are using three-way calls and three-way contacts, and I didn't have enough time to talk about that today, but when you're using the three-way or doing three-way meetings, okay, please make sure you qualify before bringing your expert or your team leader or your top money earner or whomever you bring into the equation, okay? Please qualify. It is critical that you qualify, because if you don't, and here's the downside, for those of you who may not get it, and I think since we're out of time here, I'll just finish up this call looking at the gallery. Those of you who may not understand why it's critical that you qualify when bringing a three-way, yes, the edification is important, yes, but if the edification is not accompanied by qualification before bringing that top leader, that top income earner, that expert into the equation, you're going to end up going backwards because the relationship, remember the first one is common connection and mutual respect. No matter where you have taken, if you don't, you may have taken the steps, you may have gone through the steps, but you're unfortunately, when you're not qualifying, but you bring the expert in, you're potentially going to let that expert slip back into another place. Okay, Esther, inbox me, and let me make sure I know exactly, you know, what it is. That's a real good point. All right, that's a real good point. Thank you so much, guys. Look, you know what? I'll close out today's session. Esther, you know, you're the best. You're a gem. I'm glad to have you. Don't know where you're from. Don't know exactly. You know, I don't know what company you're in. I don't know whose organization you're in. Trinidad. Okay, great. Okay, great. Good. So glad. But you're a gem because I can count on you to always interact here with us. But let me tell you something, guys. The only way I can give you good content is to know what it is you need to know. Esther put in the question in the general field. It's one thing to tune in every week and hopefully be surprised by whatever it is, whatever topics I come up with. But it's even better when we can govern and guide the topic matter by knowing what your needs are. You know. And while I may not be able to design a mentorship session that's very specific to your personal needs, I'm sure that if it's a question that like Esther had, or a topic request that like Esther had, that it potentially is in the minds of others that might not have shared it or might not have asked. So thank you so much. But that's our time for tonight. I want to thank you very much. I think Esther got it, and I hope many of you got it, that those two in your 90-day game plan, those two components, putting new people, new prospects into the pipeline, super, super, super important. And then qualifying them, super, super, super important. You got to be doing both, because when you're doing both, you can create momentum. You don't have to rely on momentum being exclusively the responsibility of a promotion by the company. Somebody look at me. Don't look away. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Here we go. You don't have to rely exclusively on the company doing a promotion to create momentum. It helps when they do it, but it shouldn't be their responsibility. Creating momentum can be yours. You can have your own momentum created by adding new people, qualifying them, moving through the stages, and getting them to do business. Well, guys, thank you so much. Always appreciate you. We're going to put this call up on YouTube again. And yes, guys, I'm tracking. You know, how the playbacks are, because you know, some of you may have been able to take good notes today and catch some good information, and some of you may not have been. Playbacks, ladies and gentlemen, playbacks. The playback goes up usually no later than by Wednesday. But guys, play them over and over and over, because you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at what it is you'll get and you'll garner from those playbacks. My glasses are foggy right now because it's gotten warm in this room, but let me just let y'all know that as my glasses clear up. Where is it? Where is it? I don't know why I can't find it. But, oh, okay, here it is. The quick tips for the proper use of the conference call playbacks. Some of you may know it, some of you may see when I post it, but it's first to collapse time frames for your effective note-taking. You can't write as fast as I talk, ever. But it's also to reinforce what you heard from the speaker. I may have covered something new tonight. I may have covered something that you haven't heard in a while, but it reinforces it. The third is to build a reference library. When you have that information, you can go back. How many of you notice how I'm able to reference back to certain calls that we did? If you know and look at the playbacks, you'll notice that in the topics, I always put what we covered so that you can now go back and look and see which one of them you can go back and re-listen. Look, Maria Moore, you're the best at that. You're the best at that. Nobody has ever, in my opinion, outdone you in being able to go back and listen to calls over and over and over and catch new things from those calls. I think you personally archive them in your own little fashion, in your own little personal archive memory, mechanism, but it works, and that's what you do. Okay, but it creates a list of a reference library of the best practices of proven leaders. The next is to get information embedded in your spirit so that you can teach it. Guys, you want to know how I can teach stuff? Because I, for years, have been embedding this stuff into my spirit, into my system. I often reference my mentor. Why? Because I sat under him for 6.5 years, playing back, listening, notes over and over. And last but not least, it's to accelerate the master, teach, repeat, duplication methodology. Master, teach, repeat, real simple. You master it, you teach it, and then repeat the process all over. It'll get you to $1 million faster than you can imagine. So guys, I look forward to seeing you guys where? At the top. Why? Because the bottom is way too crowded. Have a great day. Have a great night. You guys have a blessed rest where you are, but I'm off to work. I got to go to a meeting. I got to go make some things happen out here in Asia. Take care. Good night.